welcome to Chapter 2 Club's Smart Women's Guide to Breakups and Everything After. Today I'm here with Jackie Mazur, a certified financial planner and certified divorce financial analyst. And we're going to be talking about how to live comfortably with less income. Hello, Jackie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here again.
Of course. Yeah, I love it.
So let's talk about finances and income.
Yeah, of course. So, of course, when you're married, you have an income or maybe two incomes that are supporting one household.
Right.
Once you're divorced and now you're living in two separate households, that same amount of income is now responsible for supporting both of those households.
Yes.
And so for most people, that's going to require a little bit of change. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to necessarily afford everything that you could afford before,
right,
or to do everything that you could do before, because you have half as much income as you did before.
Yes.
So it's very important to take a look at your expenses and your income to figure out how much can you spend comfortably.
Okay.
The first step I would take is making a list of all of the fixed expenses. So those are the expenses that are not going to change.
Right.
If you have rent or mortgage or car payment, childcare, that's going to be a big one for a lot of us. Make a list of what those items are, because regardless of how much you want those to be less, they're not going to.
Right.
That's just what they cost. Once you figure out what all those fixed expenses are, you can take your income, subtract those from it, and that's going to let you know how much extra you have left over to do all of the other things in your life, which include a lot of the fun things that we want to do for both ourselves and, if you have kids, for your kids as well.
Right.
So then it just requires a little bit of prioritization.
Yes. Yeah. When I went through my divorce, I had to list out all my expenses, and before I didn't have to budget, right? Mm-hmm. And now, living off less, I really had to figure out, okay, what am I spending every month on bills and utilities and things and insurance, and things for the kids. And I didn't really realize how much was going into all those things. And so it's really good to kind of lay it out and figure out, okay, I have this much left over, or I need to save, this much every month so I can actually have a little nest for those extra things like travel or leisure or clothes or,
absolutely,
things like that.
So. And one of the things that becomes, I think, challenging for a lot of us, especially if we have kids, is deciding, do I spend that extra money on my kids or do I spend it on myself?
Yeah.
And that's where I think making a list of what those other things are that you want to spend money on.
Yeah.
And maybe prioritize them. And it doesn't have to be one completely over the other.
Right.
But maybe you do want your kids to continue to go to camp.
Yeah.
And your spouse may or may not be chipping in for that. But that takes priority over you shopping or doing other things.
Exactly.
Or maybe you say, you know what? I deserve this for the next year. My kids can skip camp. I need to get my hair done. Be honest with yourself.
Right.
But make that list, prioritize what's important to you, and then figure out how much can you allocate to each of those different areas.
Yeah.
And make sure it's within your means. There might be the need to get another job or to create additional income. Mm-hmm. There might be a need to get a roommate or to scale back on your housing costs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of creative ways to generate income or reduce your expenses if it's needed.
Yeah. And I think the first step is really realizing that you can't live off of what you had before, and just to, really just make a good plan on what you really feel like are priorities for yourself and how you're going to be able to sustain the lifestyle that you want and the new lifestyle that you have to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one tip I often give to clients, especially if they have younger kids where they have a lot of childcare costs, maybe it's $1,000 a month for each spouse, is although you want to save for retirement, you want to save for your other goals, if that's not possible while you're paying for childcare, you should still continue to receive child support once the expenses for your kids are reduced a little bit. So don't be afraid to take a hiatus from saving for a period of time until that known expense reduces. Like I said, if you're spending $1,000 a month on childcare, but once both of your kids are in public school, you're not going to have that expense.
Yeah.
You could then take that $1,000 and start to save that $1,000 towards your goal versus having to eat ramen
Yes.
while trying to do both things. So meeting with a certified divorce financial analyst or a financial planner can help you figure out how do you stay on track for your goals.
Yes.
While still living.
Right.
And not feeling overly restricted.
Yeah. And reprioritizing. I feel like I've found myself having to reprioritize. Like when I first got divorced, I, rented for a while before I was able to buy a place, and that really helped save some money, as a down payment, and just kind of, really, and give me time to see what all the expenses were going to be and how I was going to be able to shift things around, or what I was going to be able to spend on or not spend on, and so.
Yeah. And that's an excellent point. A lot of us don't know what we even need to spend money on.
Right.
Because if you weren't handling the bills before,
Exactly.
You just don't know how much the car insurance is going to be
Right.
or how much certain things are going to cost. So sometimes giving yourself a couple months to get adjusted can be very helpful.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course, yeah.
Those are great tips. We'll see you next time.